All right, it looks like we're live. We live?
We're live.
Yes, we're live. Okay.
Live on YouTube.
Woohoo. We're YouTube stars. Lorena, are we in person next month?
We're still working on it.
Okay.
We're trying, but we're working on it.
It's been what, over a year, huh?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 1 minute.
Okay.
It's 7 o'clock.
Mark, I fixed my name so it doesn't have 3 T's anymore.
Okay.
How'd you do? All right, here we go. All righty. I now call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. I am the vice chair for the audience tonight, and I will be serving as a presiding officer for tonight's meeting until such time as we elect a chair. Before we move forward, I would like to announce that in response to executive orders issued by Governor Newsom, the city is conducting a teleconference public meeting utilizing Zoom video communications. This allows the city to continue to conduct essential business and comply with public health administration recommendations to protect the public and city employees, practice social distancing and limit exposure by not allowing in-person public meetings. To ensure the public will be able to participate, public comments may be submitted as live comments during the Zoom meeting and or via email at publiccomment@cityofglendora.org. Tonight, we have one public hearing on the agenda. Public comment testimony will be taken during the public comment portion of the public hearing. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct roll call for us?
Thank you, Vice Chair. At this time, I will conduct an oral roll call and request that each commissioner respond with present when their name is called. Commissioner Koss,
Present?
Commissioner Matthews,
Present.
Commissioner Norwood,
Present.
Commissioner Arcetti,
Present.
Vice Chair Davis.
Present.
All members are present. Thank you.
All righty, so now Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Matthews, would you do the honor of saying the pledge with us one last time?
Be glad to. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. All right, does anyone this brings us to reorder of the agenda. Does anybody have anything to reorder here tonight?
Nope.
All right. Hearing none, we will now move to the public comment section. I now open the public comment period. Members will have member public to address the Planning Commission on items listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. This is your time to speak uninterrupted. So please address your comments to me, the presiding officer, and public comment is limited to 30 minutes in total. If you would like to request to speak, select the raise hand via the Zoom. before the close of the public comment period. Call down when your turn is up to speak. Do we have any public comments?
At this time, we have no emails, and I am not showing anybody who would like to speak. We do have members in the comment, and we have none.
All righty. All right, so with that, I will close the public comment period. All right, so that moves us to commissioner statements and reports. I would like to invite each one of you commissioners to if you have a statement or report. I would like to preface all of this by welcoming Commissioner Ursetti to our group here. He's brand new. This is his first meeting. Welcome, Mr. Ursetti.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And yeah, it is an honor to be here. I'm Brian Ursetti. I'm a firefighter, been a firefighter for 14 years, have lived in Glendora for 8 years. We have my wife and our 3 kids going to Glendora schools. And, you know, I've just been, got a chance to serve on the Citizens Ad Hoc Financial Committee, and it was a wonderful experience. And I thought that at the right time, I would get back in and try to help out. One thing you notice, I think, meeting so many people this weekend, 4th of July, people move to this community because of all that it is with the businesses, the schools, and that's just not by accident. City planning is done, I think, and is at the core of that. We'll be making decisions now that will affect, you know, down the road. So to be a part of that is a good honor, and I look forward to learning from all of you and yeah, and serving with you.
All righty. Commissioner Koss, anything?
Just welcome, Commissioner Ursetti. Good to have you on the team, and I am looking forward to the day that we can all meet in person again. But other than that, I'm nothing else.
Commissioner Matthews.
Nothing other than to welcome our new member.
All right. Commissioner Norwood.
Yeah, I'd also like to welcome Commissioner Ursetti to the Planning Commission, and look forward to working with him over the next several years. Welcome, Brian.
All right, very good. And my welcome is as well, Brian. All righty, so this brings us to director and attorney statements. Mr. Kugel, would you like to provide a statement?
Nothing at this time, thanks.
City Attorney Lana Lehman.
Yes, welcome, Commissioner Ursetti. At some point in time, we should set up a time when we can meet, and I can give you a quick introduction and overview of some of the making procedures you'll be going through. And hopefully we will be able to do that in person soon. Yay!
Yay. All right, well, that brings us to special items, which is a selection of a chair and a vice chair. And with that, I will turn it over to the clerk.
At this time, I declare offices of the chair and vice chair vacant. So nominations are now in order for chair. Are there any nominations?
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Davis, please.
I will second that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to step on you.
No worries. I'll second that nomination.
Oh, shucks.
Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing none, I declare Mr. Davis as chair. So I will, congratulations. I will turn this meeting back to you.
All right, very good. All right, so we need a, so that brings us to the selection of the vice chair. It says here, are there any nominations for the vice chair? Second, not required. I would like to nominate Commissioner Koss for vice chair.
I would second that.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, I'm not hearing any. So, Commissioner Koss, well, welcome to vice chairmanship.
Thank you. Thank you. I will endeavor to do a very good job.
All right, I'm sure you will. Okay, brings us to Transportation Division update. I'd like to invite Transportation Manager Stephen Mateer to report out, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Mateer. I'm the Transportation Manager for the City of Glendora. The item before you is a little bit of a lengthy item. We've been up to a lot this past year, so I'd like to bring the Commission up to speed on our activities. Next slide, please. So as you know, the city has a transportation service, so we'll be covering our transit update, talking about the Glendora People Movement Project, as well as the Parkwood Program and Mead Avenue. Next slide, please. This chart shows you the dollar ride operation. As some of you may or may not know, the city operates both a dollar ride, which is a curb to curb service for our residents that are senior or disabled. And we also operate a fixed route service during the midday and afternoon for the Gold Line. I'm sorry, for morning, afternoon for the Gold Line, and then in the midday during school time to help kids get home. As you see here, the ridership has been up and down based on the pandemic. And as we can see, this ridership is well below what we normally would carry this year. However, it is somewhat steady and recovered compared to about a year ago. Next slide, please. This is the ridership on our Gold Line shuttle. Again, it was a pretty substantial drop through December, given that was the height of the pandemic or the surge. And ridership has recovered since then, and we're holding at about 220 people a month.
Are those individual rides there?
Yeah, correct. That's individual boardings. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're typically about 3 to 4 times this. So this is we're way down at this time. Next slide, please. One of the really exciting things that we've been working on is about 2 years ago, we were awarded a grant to purchase 4 replacement dollar ride vehicles, as well as modernize our dispatching software. The software we use is about 10 years old. This is a brand new service for the city, so it will be allowing our dispatcher to schedule more trips more efficiently, manage the vehicles in the field, as well as generate reports to help us manage our fleet and our assets. Next slide, please. Probably the feature that I'm the most excited about is going to be not only our notification system, but our passenger portal. What this will allow riders to receive notifications when their vehicle is en route, confirm trips and cancellations, as well as in the portal, they can also set up their trips, set up their profile payment, as well as review trips. So we can get feedback based upon how our drivers are performing. The real benefit here, besides being obviously much more customer friendly, is it helps us reduce our no-shows and cuts down on our dispatching load. Next slide, please. One of the other exciting things that we've embarked on is electrifying our bus fleet. This is a CARB requirement to electrify by 2036. As part of that, we've begun purchasing replacements. So the one that we purchased is the bus you see, which is a Lion electric bus. It's about 26-foot, 22 passenger capacity vehicle. Has a range of 150 miles. And this is a really exciting opportunity to not only reduce air pollution in the city, but also to provide a much better passenger experience. Next slide, please. This is what the inside of the bus looks like. As you can see, the driver displays, I'm really impressed by this, the layout and how sophisticated this is. And then inside the bus, it's very open. It's much nicer than what we have right now, which are called cutaways. This is purpose built, so you don't get the rattling. This will be a much less of a maintenance headache than compared to our current fleet. Next slide, please. So the other really big project that we've been embarking on is the Glendora People Movement Project. And what this is a strategic build out of our active transportation network. What this includes are some elements that you may be familiar with, which is our first last mile improvements, and our Glendora urban trail system. And I can talk about those individual elements later if we have any questions about them. What this is approximately 9 miles of improvements, and the cost is about $16.5 million. This is a substantial investment in the city, and it recognizes the energy that comes with the Gold Line, as well as the emphasis to build upon Glendora being a great place to raise a family and to get around. Next slide, please. This map shows you an overview. I apologize for the quality. I put this together. I'm not a map maker, but I wanted to really highlight, the reach of these projects. What you see in green are what we call the urban trails. Those are separated bike and pedestrian facilities along the various flood control channels in the city. The solid line, that's one that's already completed. That goes from Louis Pompey Park to Sunflower and Gladstone. That is the San Dimas Wash and extends over to Grand Avenue. Just north of that is the Big Dalton Wash, and that would connect with about the Colby Canyon Trail down through to Barranca. Then again, north of that is the Little Dalton, which would go from, I believe that's Colby Canyon, all the way through to Finkbeiner Park. You'll see a little bit of a green squiggle. That's a right-of-way that the Gold Line Authority is reserving for the city to build a walk and bike path from Grand to Carroll. The orange lines you see, those are the first last mile projects. Those are projects that are aimed at getting people to and from the new Gold Line station as easily and safely as possible. So what that is, that's bike and pedestrian improvements on Foothill Boulevard from Citrus Avenue to Vista Bonita, and then the improvements on Glendora Avenue from Foothill to Route 66. And really, these are the primary paths that we've identified through our extensive outreach with the community. Next slide, please. So the long-term goals of this, as I mentioned, is to connect the station to the village. For those who may not know, the station is behind those townhomes next to the post office. It's not an immediate intuitive connection if you're not from Glendora, how to get to the village. And so addressing that is really a priority for us. We also want to improve road safety, not just for one user, but for all users to make sure the roads are as safe as possible. Support economic development, extend the feel of the village further south towards the station, as well as improve circulation and quality of life. We really want to be able to give residents meaningful options to get around Glendora. Next slide, please. One of the things that we did recently, which you probably have seen, was a 5-month demonstration of first last mile improvements on Glendora Avenue. The funding for that demonstration came from the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, and the city used its own bike and pedestrian funds as match. The primary goal of this was to engage the public. Even though the city, along with Metro, had done about 2 years of outreach, we still wanted to keep the dialogue going. And it's one thing to see these improvements on a map. It's another to actually experience it, and touch and feel it in real life. And that really allowed us to understand the operational impacts that came with these changes. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, this was a 5-month demonstration. We also had a community survey and a traffic assessment. Next slide, please. So we counted with our user counts was about 780 residents are walking or biking in the corridor during this period. So during the demo, there was 357, and then after there was 382. It was interesting to see that once Glendora opened, there were actually a higher count of people walking and biking, which I guess it does make sense with Glendora Avenue reopening. But again, I think this speaks to how busy Glendora Avenue could be, especially once the Gold Line arrives. Next slide, please. Another key element of this was our traffic assessment. We wanted to understand, would there be a traffic impact with the road realignment and adding in a bike lane, as well as some of the turn improvements. What we found is that the volume and speed really didn't change with the bike lane or without the bike lane. What we did look to was the urban design guideline for streets. And we found that given that the speed of Glendora Avenue is 35 miles an hour, as well as the traffic volume, we felt that the protected bike lane that we demonstrated is the right improvement. Is also to thinking about all users, right? So children, people that aren't as comfortable on a bike, or those that are maybe in personal mobility devices. How do we have a safe street for them? And really, these are the types of improvements that we modeled and we found to be the correct fit for that street. Next slide, please. One of the things we also heard in terms of the design was that the angled parking was incredibly valuable. When we did the demonstration, we switched from angled to parallel, and that did impact the number of parking spaces. So that's something we'll carry through in our final design, is maintain the angled parking. The other thing we learned is that the turning radius was very tight, particularly from turning from Foothill Boulevard south onto Glendora Avenue. So that'll be something we'll be paying attention to ensure that things like Foothill Transit or fire trucks can make the turn. One positive was that the turn pocket that we added for the post office was very popular. Also in that aesthetics and materials really mattered. I think for those of you who saw it, it did look like a demonstration project. This did not look like a final complete project. And so I think that was something that we took to be a good sign, is that if we can get the design right and get the aesthetics right, there'll be a lot more support for this. Next slide, please. In terms of the project approach, one of the things that we will want to do if we ever do a demonstration again would be to do more outreach before. A lot of people did not know this was a demonstration. They thought this was the final product. So I think engaging residents on what is a demonstration project, what are the elements, would go a long way to help explain the project. One other thing is to look at having dedicated staff and materials. Me and my staff, we were out there once a week fixing the bike lane. And so really having 5 months was a long demonstration for the type of materials we used. So paying attention to that. Next slide, please. So the other really exciting project we have is the Glendora Parklet program. As you notice, we had outdoor dining in 7 locations. And what we're looking to do is make those permanent. This is going to be governed by a use agreement and an application. Helps support supports and enhances economic activity within the village, particularly at the restaurants. Supporting active transportation by encouraging people to walk more in the village as well as bike to the parklets. And we're looking to install the parklets by August of 2021. Next slide, please. This is a sample rendering of the parklet that'll be in front of Classic Coffee and Domenico's. The firm we selected is Vestra. They prefabricate parklets. And so what these come shipped and we basically install them. They're kind of like IKEA furniture. So in the week of October, we'll be out there with our wrenches and forklifts, putting these in place and bolting them together. One thing that's really, I think was really impressive about this, beyond the price point, was that these have a really long life, about a 15-year life for the materials and a lifetime anti-corrosion warranty. So really these are very solid investments for the village. I think recognizing that the outdoor dining was successful and really capitalized on what makes the village a great place to dine and shop. Next slide, please. One of the things we have going on is Mita Avenue is still closed, and it's also been a really nice success story too, in that it's been able to add some more outdoor dining as well as some vibrancy to the village. One of the things that we're exploring is making that permanent and looking at ways to build upon some of that success. One of the things we're looking at doing are some short-term programming or, kind of immediate quick build projects like paint and planters, as well as some of the longer-term improvements that maybe would require some infrastructure. Again, this is really a marrying of our economic development and transportation goals for the city. Next slide, please. And I know that was a lot, so I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
All right. I have a couple of questions. Well, first let me go to Commissioner Cost. Do you have any questions?
No, I just think the parklets are a great idea and I'm happy that we're doing them.
Commissioner Matthews?
Only one. I was curious if you were able to share what the public's response to the bike lane on Glendora was overall.
Overall, it was pretty even. I want to say it was, let me get my numbers correct here. Probably about 45% were supportive and about 50-ish were not in favor, or I would say that their impressions were not favorable of the design as we had it. A lot of that was related to the aesthetics of the bike lane. But I would say overall it was pretty close. We had over 500 responses.
Did you get any valuable feedback though that gives you an idea of what direction you want to go to improve that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people mentioned looking to Claremont as an option. I know on Foothill Boulevard, they have a very similar type of project. So you're looking at landscaping. I think if we had more durable or more permanent looking improvements, that would have helped a lot. The angled parking was great feedback. The importance of that was well noted. I think it was really great for us to hear too was both adjusting the turn radius, but also too that people really felt safer walking and biking. A lot of families noted that this was the first time their kid had biked on Glendora Avenue. And that was something that they really enjoyed, having that opportunity.
Yeah, so outside the radius thing, which I think that was a given, is there a certain standard for the width of that is common or required? It seemed like it was a little bit wider than anticipated if I were expecting it. So I'm just curious what guides that.
Do you mean the turn radius or the
no,
bike?
the overall width lengthwise through the whole block. So
Got it.
As opposed to 8 or 16 or whatever the case may be.
Right. Okay. So the drive lanes were 11 feet each, which is a standard drive lane. The parking spaces were, I believe, 8 feet wide, and I want to say about 20 feet long or 22 feet long. Again, that was a standard space. The bike lane, so these are what are called protected bike lanes. The 6-foot bike lane and a 3-foot buffer between either a drive lane or a parking space. The turn radius, I think that was something that, when we were out in the field installing it, this comes back to, again, having, more dedicated staff. I think we would have, tried to measure that a little bit better, or to, fix that earlier on. The nice thing about a demo is that we're able to fix it in the field. So we actually set the angle back of the turn and also the limit line for the left lane. So that was the nice thing with the demo, is that we could make those on the fly changes.
So if you, how far back from the cross traffic realistically can you work with, so that you increase the radius of that turn? Is that how you handle that?
Correct. Yeah. So the way we had set it originally was very tight, and the idea here was to slow down drivers that make that turn very quickly. That's something we observed, is that people do race around that, especially turning southbound. So I think we moved it in about, I want to say 3 or 4 feet in, which widened that radius. So in terms of final design, there's no like prescribed depth of a turn radius. They can be adjusted depending on volume and the type of vehicle that transit through that intersection. I mean, I know for me personally, making sure that foothill transit and, a fire truck can make that turn is really important.
Yeah, that may be. Yeah, I think you probably lost a few pylons in the process, so that's probably helpful. Anyway,
yeah, that's the nice thing about them, is this is cheap. So when we made mistakes, it was, not a big deal.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ursetti?
Thank you, Stephen, for that report. I think the parklets, I'm really excited about that. That's been a nice addition to the downtown, just eating outdoors. Are those something that, if we were to open a restaurant, or a new restaurant were to open and one would close, that they can be moved around pretty easily, or change in size to adjust with the parking and everything?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, to answer your question, I think if a restaurant were to relinquish one and then a new one opened up and wanted them, we would go through the same application process. The council authorized us to build 7, so that's what we have money for, and that's what we're doing. The other reason we selected Vestra is that, as you noted, we can disassemble them or reshape them depending upon changes that may occur in the village.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's it for me.
Commissioner Norwood.
The question I have is, it might be more of a gold line question too. On Ada, when you're heading westbound by the post office, you got those condos to the south, and so there's a tough turnaround there. Is there plans to widen that out somehow to allow, especially let's say for emergency vehicle access, or turnaround, or just general turnaround for vehicles? Right now, the condos, I noticed, threw a sign up there saying no U-turns in the driveway, if you're familiar with the ones just south of the post office.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think for everyone's knowledge, the Ada Avenue is actually going to be a cul-de-sac west of Vermont. So there won't be a through street. So if you're coming from, say, Glendora Avenue westbound on Ada, you can either turn south on Vermont or north on Vermont. You cannot proceed through Ada as if you could right now. There are no plans to add a turnaround or any type of way for something.
Okay, then I misunderstood. So when you're heading westbound on Ada, you'll be able to go north or south on Vermont.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, I just thought the construction, it would end up being a cul-de-sac east of Vermont. So I'm corrected. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
The bus, that's a Glendora owned bus. It's
Correct.
not part
Yes,
of MTA or anything like that.
No, that we are the owners of that bus. That's correct.
Okay. For the parklets, one of the things I noticed, and you mentioned 7. Do you know offhand who the 7 are? Because I think I count 8, unless I'm miscounting.
We have one. It's a pop quiz for me too. We have one for Kara's. I'm gonna try to go north. Kara, Crust and Crumble and Ed's Place, Domenico's, and
The Vault.
I thought the Vault had one.
Vault and Diplomat share a very large one.
Okay, then that's the one. I'm
Okay.
counting
And the
too.
coffee place.
Right. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Four of the restaurants. Two share a parklet. So Vault and Diplomat share a parklet, and then Classic Coffee and Domenico share a parklet.
Okay. Now with those parklet platforms that they're putting in, one of the things I noticed was drainage along the curbs. Stuff seems to build up in there, especially with people, dining and eating, right there on the curbside. Are they designed specially for the drainage? I imagine that had to have been taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Lorena,
do you mind?
Are they easily disassemblable so that they can be hosed down with regularity?
Yeah, it's a good. Lorena, do you mind flipping back a couple slides? I can show you on there. Yeah. So if you on here might be a little bit hard to see. You see that kind of silver line that's on the back of the parklet. That's a metal ramp or a metal flap.
Got it.
6 to 8 inches long. So that rests upon the curb. So there'll be a pretty good clearance underneath for water to go through. And the parklets also sit on little legs that screw down to adjust the height. So there'll be clearance for debris and runoff to run underneath.
Yeah. Okay, great. I was looking at that the wrong way.
No, I apologize. I should have pointed that out. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Because water won't, when they're that long, water won't simply do it all. You have to open it up and sweep it sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. We've learned that with the ramps that we've had here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I saw some of the owners out there doing it themselves. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Unless somebody else has anything, I will thank you for your report and look forward to working with you.
A pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so that will bring us to the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. The one item we have on the agenda is a consideration of a resolution to approve a conditional use permit to allow a vehicle drive-through in conjunction with a new fast food restaurant, Wendy's, located at 706 West Route 66, project number PLN 21-0007. The applicant is ADN and Associates, John Dodson, property owner, Philip Charoux, I believe. And for those listening, this would be the George's restaurant that is next to the Petrillo's on Route 66. So I would now like to call on the Associate Planner, Natalie Espinoza, to report out, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Davis and members of the commission. Next slide, please.
At first, I want to, if the chair can declare the public hearing open.
Oh, I'm sorry. The public hearing is now open.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorena.
That certainly helps, huh? Now we're legal.
Yes.
Next slide. Tonight before you is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a vehicle drive-through in conjunction with the new fast food restaurant, Wendy's. Next slide. The project site is located at 706 West Route 66 at the southwest corner of Route 66 and Vecino Drive. It is composed of 2 tax parcels and 1 legal lot that is approximately 41,860 square feet in size. There's an existing building with associated parking located on site. The site is surrounded by auto service uses and a bar to the north, auto service and restaurant to the east, a shopping center to the west, and multifamily residential to the south. Next slide. These are the pictures of the existing site, and the building was previously occupied by Georgie's Deli and Produce. Next slide. The proposed project for the site includes the following: demolition of an existing 6,100 square foot grocery store building. the construction of a 3,068 square foot building with a Y-shaped vehicle drive-through, which is what the conditional use permit is for. A new landscaped area of approximately 10,580 square feet, and surface parking lot area providing 32 parking spaces. Next slide. It's a little blurry, but this is the proposed site plan. The proposed building will be located toward the front of the property, which abuts Route 66. Parking will be located at the rear and the west side of the building. The site will have access from both Route 66 and Vecino Drive. The proposed wide drive-through entrance will be located from the side parking area on the west side of the building. The drive-through will accommodate approximately 13 vehicles without encroaching into the parking area. The applicant submitted a parking and circulation study prepared by licensed traffic engineers and included a drive-through queuing analysis. The analysis concludes that the proposed drive-through is expected to accommodate the calculated maximum vehicle queue based on forecasted demands. Next slide, please. The proposed building has aspects of modern architecture, which are consistent with Wendy's corporate branding in terms of both colors and materials. The applicant is also including brick veneer along all elevations to tie into the architecture of the adjacent shopping center. So these are the proposed front elevations and west elevation, which is the view from the parking lot. And then the next slide. That's the view from the rear of the building, and then also the view from Vecino Drive. Next slide. These are the proposed landscape plans. All areas not covered by structures, parking, walkways, and driveways will be landscaped with drought-tolerant species and permanently maintained. Landscape plans will be submitted for review of compliance with California State Model Water Efficiency Ordinance. Next slide. Staff reviewed the project for compliance with CEQA and determined that the project is categorically exempt based on the following two exemptions. Section 15303, which is applicable to new construction of a commercial structure not exceeding 10,000 square feet, and section 15332, which applies to projects that are categorized as infill development and meet specific requirements such as the project is consistent with applicable general plan designation, general plan policies, and zoning designation and regulations, which it does because drive-throughs associated with fast food restaurants are allowed in the Route 66 specific plan, general plan designated areas, and the RT66 BG zone with a conditional use permit. The proposed development occurs within city limits, and it's no more than 5 acres, and the site is 0.96 acres. The project site has no value as habitat for endangered, rare, or threatened species. And since the project site and the surrounding areas are fully developed, they have no value as habitat for these species. And the approval of the project would not result in any significant effects relating to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. The project does not exceed the city's established VMT thresholds of significance and traffic demand measures, and are not required for further CEQA analysis. Noise from the project would not be subject to the noise thresholds established by, ordinance consistent with the general plan and incorporate automatic volume control levels. The project would not exceed the established air quality thresholds established by AQMD, and the project is conditioned to comply with a water quality management plan. Additionally, the site can also adequately be served by all required utilities and public services. Next slide. Staff recommends the approval of the project and to adopt to adopt the categorical exemption pursuant to sections 15303 and 15332 of CEQA, and to adopt the Planning Commission resolution entitled "A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Glendora, California, approving a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through for a restaurant on certain property located at 706 West Route 66, Glendora, California, PLN 21007, compliance with California Environmental Quality Act." One note though, on the resolution, the draft resolution that was included with the packet, there is a minor typo. On the first page, it says findings with facts for minor conditional use permit. It should actually just read findings with facts for conditional use permit. And that has been corrected and sent to the city clerk's office. Next slide.
That's all I have.
And that's it. I'm available if you have any questions.
All right. All right. Very good, Natalie. Thank you very much. All right. At this time, I'd like to invite the applicant, ADN and Associate, John Dodson, to address the commission, if you would like to.
We show that he's on the phone, and we've sent a request if he wanted to speak. So if he's out there, if you can hear, if you can unmute yourself. Okay.
See. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
The chair can hear you, yeah.
All right. My name's John Dodson. I'm with Arme Davis Newlove Architects. We're the architects of the project. Just want to say that we've been working with staff on this project for a while. We were able to incorporate the wide drive-through. Initially, we hadn't done that. Now we've done it and find that it works well to really move the traffic or the drive-through lane more efficiently. This is the newest prototype Wendy's building. It'll probably be one of the first ones out in the West Coast. So it's a new, very modern look for them. They've been doing modern looks, but this is what they refer to as their 2.0 building. And we're just looking forward to completing the project and serving hamburgers for Glendora. I think we're going to have a nice patio. And we have also, one of the things that wasn't mentioned as we worked with staff was that we integrated the restaurant from a pedestrian standpoint with the shopping center. That really, with the market, wasn't as clear. So now we have an easier path to travel with landscaping and a paving, decorative paving between us and the rest of the center, so that it'll be one nice contiguous center. That's about what I have. I also have Christopher Wallig with Cotty Foods, who would like to make some comments too, if that's okay.
Yep, you guys got 10 minutes.
All right, Christopher, you're on.
Good evening. I'm Christopher Wadley. I represent Cotty Foods. We'll be building the Wendy's at this location. And just want to let you know that this is a new and modern building that we're putting together here. We just built our first one of this version in Claremore, Oklahoma. Came out very nicely. One thing I would like to point out, could you pull up the elevations of the drive-through for a second? Perfect. So can you see me? Can you see my camera?
I cannot.
Okay, you're about to, right? So now I think you will.
Gotcha.
So there was one minor error on the elevation that I just caught as we were doing the presentation, and I'll show it to you. If you can see this picture, the tower over the pickup window, which is the tower over the pay window, which is prior to the pickup window, actually carries to the top of the building. Go left.
Oh, I see.
You see how it goes all the way up?
Right.
Go to your left. That's the pickup window. See the pay window. So that is right there. And that actually goes all the way up. The version that you see on that elevation is for remodels of older buildings. in the new prototype, that tower will carry to the top. So I do, just because we are sitting here trying to get approval tonight, I want to be sure that we're clear on what we're doing. And I will absolutely get an updated elevation. And I have photographs of a built building now that just opened up and is doing very well in Oklahoma. But I just wanted to let you know that that tower carries to the top. That is part of the design for the new builds. And I don't know that that'll make a radical difference in your decision process, but I just want to clarify that so that if we get approved tonight, it is noted that we'll update that elevation to carry that up. Other than that, we have in the original prototype building that was provided to us by Wendy's, it was a little bit lower. And I very quickly realized that in the Midwest, they don't always screen their equipment. So we did make modifications to this building very quickly to raise the entire building up to properly clear our equipment so it's not visible to anyone who's around the building, and it keeps the contour of the building as it was supposed to be, just a little bit taller. But we do look forward to this location. We think it's going to do very well. Very excited to be opening this location on Route 66. I think it's just going to kill it. So unless you have any other questions, we're excited to get this thing under construction and get it open.
Okay, well, right now, I would like to invite any members of the public. Well, actually, yeah, I guess we bring it back to, no, we don't bring it to the commission yet. Yeah, any members of the public wish to speak at this time, you have 3 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you. Yep, that's correct.
I am not showing any emails or anybody in Zoom that would like to participate in a testimony.
All right. So that brings me down. Here. All right. So there are no other public comments to accept for testimony tonight on this topic.
I have not received none. No emails or anybody in Zoom.
Okay.
If there are questions of staff, Lorena, is our protocol now that we include the questions of staff in the public hearing, or do we close the public hearing? It's been a bit of a moving target in terms of these protocols.
I have no idea.
In the script, it's a closed public hearing and that discussion.
I would assume we would close public hearing first and then bring it to discussion for the commissioners. Correct, Lana?
Unless the commissioners have question and answer session with staff, in which case I tend to include that in the public hearing.
Okay.
It really doesn't matter. You're just being all inclusive in terms of your public hearing.
All right. So at this point, I will ask Commissioners Matthews. Commissioner Matthews, do you have anything?
I have no questions of staff.
Commissioner Ursetti.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Norcutt.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Koss.
No, I have none at this time.
And most of my questions were answered during the briefing this morning, so I have none myself. So at this point, I would, if there were any other comments, I would invite the applicant to come back up and address the commission. Do you have anything further to say?
I'm good. John?
Okay.
No, I'm excited about the project too. I think it's going to be very nice. It really is.
All right, very good.
Very excited about it.
All right, so with that, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to commission. So at this point, Commissioner Ursetti.
Sorry, unmute. I like the project. I think it's great. I do like how the entrance to the drive-through is not on Route 66, which that was my main concern when I met with Jeff, would be kind of clogging up traffic there. So having that and two lanes feeding into one, much like the McDonald's on Route 66 does, I think will alleviate any traffic in the parking lot as well.
Mr. Norcutt.
No, I think the project is a good project. I'm looking forward to it, and I have no comments or questions.
Commissioner Koss.
Yeah, just a couple. First of all, I'm very excited. My very first job ever as a teenager was at a Wendy's. So I have kind of a soft spot for that. And I'm looking forward to getting a Frosty. So I'm excited about that. I do appreciate the very thorough traffic study. It was obvious that you put a lot of work into making sure that it's not going to be disruptive to traffic. I appreciate that. The only thing I had a concern about, I did see in the report that you were going to be removing 7 trees. And I know you're going to be submitting a landscaping plan to the city. And we do have obviously that tree replacement. Unfortunately, when people replace, they replace, with young sapling trees, and often the trees that you're taking out are mature trees. So I would just encourage you, if at all possible, to try to leave some of those mature trees if you can in your design, because obviously mature trees are a little more beneficial to us than saplings that take years and years to grow. So that would be the only comment.
All right, very good. Thank you, Commissioner Koss. Commissioner Matthews.
Yeah, I don't have much other than to say I'm a bit personally disappointed that Georgia's going away, only to the extent that I was in the sign business when they opened up, and I did the signage on that building. So it's sad to see that go away. But on the alternative, I want to welcome the Cotty group to Glendora. Thank you for keeping your shoulder to the wheel to this deal. I know it's taken an inordinate amount of time, but that's the process that we run into. So I thank you for that. We look forward to you being with us and serving your products here.
All righty. I too echo Commissioner Koss's concern about trees. I've heard that sometimes putting in a sapling tree, it'll grow bigger pretty quick than putting in a more mature tree, but leaving a more mature tree, if possible, if at all possible, I'd like to see as well. The other thing that goes along and kind of follows Commissioner Matthews' walk down memory lane there is, I was in George's the other day, and I love the barreled ceiling. It's just a gorgeous building on the inside, all the unfinished timbers. If at all possible, if we could reclaim some of those and maybe make a park bench, make something for the city, these old buildings that go away, I think we lose a part of our history when that happens. And if we can preserve some part of that and make something out of it, I'd love to see something like that, just as a memory of bygone eras. Other than that,
do you know anybody that works with wood that could do that?
I can't go there.
Darn,
but I do. Other than that, welcome, and we look forward to having you in town. So with that, I will turn it over to
I'll make a motion if you wish.
Somebody for a motion, correct?
Before we do that, can we close the public comment or public hearing, excuse me?
If I could, respond to Chair Davis and Vice Chair Koss. Those trees are actually being replaced by the 7 trees shown on the landscape plans. Lorena, if you can go back to the landscape plans. This was already reviewed here. The ones at the bottom, this was reviewed by Public Works, and they're going to be 36-inch box trees, and they're going to be Australian willows. So they'll be larger trees.
Just to clarify, 7 are being removed and 16 are going to be put on site.
Okay, good.
All right.
No, more than that. 14, 20, 14.
I think you've met the minimum.
23.
Definitely.
So yes, they meet it. So.
Yeah, didn't I already close the public hearing?
Yeah, I
heard it. Maybe one other point of order: the trees that are the real trees that are being removed on Vincino are being removed at the request of our city arborist.
Yes. Oh, okay.
They are extremely unhealthy. They've been topped several times over the years, and they are they can't survive long-term healthiness. And so, at the city arborist's request, Public Works asked that this project remove all those trees and replace them with healthy trees.
Okay, good.
This project is doing.
Okay, but they'll be young trees though, right? Obviously not mature trees, but they'll be young.
Obviously, yeah. But they'll be a good size, not stick trees. They'll be 30
okay, good.
24-inch box.
Good.
Okay, so I have a motion made by Commissioner Matthews. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Could I just update that, just a little tweak, please?
Sure.
Without to the opposition, I assume that they have accepted all the conditions of approval, and that I want to include the revised architectural as noted by the applicant for the pay window, so that there's no question that we're aware of it and we agree with that change.
So noted. So I have a motion made by Commissioner Matthews, seconded by Vice Chair Cos. I'm going to conduct an oral roll call.
And I'm assuming that that minor amendment is friendly to both the mover and the seconder on that motion.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Fine.
that's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Matthews,
Yes.
Commissioner Norwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Arcetti,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cos,
Yes.
and Chair Davis.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with the revisions of the bay window that we're including. Thank you.
All right, very good. All right, moving along, welcome, Wendy's. Moving along to the consent calendar, request a motion
So do we have a motion to approve?
to approve the consent calendar.
Correct.
Sure,
I'll
I'll
make a
move
motion.
that. Okay, I'll second that.
And I will say that Commissioner Ursetti may wish to abstain from this since he was not present for the minutes, for the meeting at which these minutes were taken.
Got it.
Who made the first motion? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Norwood.
Norwood. Okay. So a motion was made by Commissioner Norwood, seconded by Vice Chair Cos to approve consent calendar item number 2 as presented. I will now conduct an oral roll call. Commissioner Matthews,
Yes.
Commissioner Norwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Arcetti,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Cos,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1 with an abstention. So thank you.
Okay, now this will bring us to the planning commission meetings. Recommendation is that the planning commission affirm the following minutes from
No,
June.
we're going to the commissioner agenda items next. That's part of the consent calendar, what you were just reading.
Yep.
Oh,
we're-
I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. All right, so commission agenda items. There are no commission, agenda items. Unfinished business. See, there are no unfinished business items. New business. There are no new business items. Which brings us to commission staff closing comments. Staff, anything?
Well, I wanted to, of course, like everyone else, welcome Brian Ursetti to the Planning Commission. Looking forward to working with him over the next coming years. And also while we're getting a new member, also wanted to wish Michael Matthews farewell as he leaves us on the commission. I can't believe it's been since 2013 when Mr. Matthews first stepped on the commission and has been involved in actually quite a few major decisions, both for current planning projects like this and also for things like the Aero Highway specific plan and some changes that we made to the Route 66 specific plan a few years ago. So I'm going to miss working with him and wish him well in all of his future endeavors. I know he'll be around and continue to be an active member of the community. So just wanted to say, Michael, I enjoyed working with you all these years. So
Likewise.
Commissioner Norwood.
Yeah, I just want to also touch base on Commissioner Matthews deciding to leave the commission. He's been a big help for me in the last 4 years, and someone I would lean on and listen to his opinions, and the reasoning behind it was always very helpful. And I appreciate the service you provided the city. And again, best of luck in whatever future endeavors you decide to do, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Commissioner Koss.
Yes, I also echo thanking Commissioner Matthews for your service to the city. I've learned a lot just in the time I've been on the Planning Commission. I've learned a lot just from a lot of the comments that you've made and the points that you brought up. And so I thank you for that. And I thank you for your service to the city.
Likewise, thank you.
Commissioner Ursetti.
Well, thank you to everybody for the welcome. Great first meeting. Seemed very efficient. And I also just want to say to Commissioner Matthews, I know we didn't get to meet. Hopefully we will at some point. But thank you. Hearing that you've been doing this since 2013, that's pretty amazing. So we have you to thank for a lot of what we have here today. So thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
All righty. I wanted to take a minute and thank staff and the council. I recently heard of a grant that we received to update and fix all of our historic lighting throughout the city.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I know Councilman Alois, that was a pet project of his, but I'm sure he had a lot of help with the other council and staff as well to put all that stuff together. And it's arguably been a 5 or 6 year deal going on here. So my hat's off to everybody involved in that. Nice work, very nice work. And with that, gosh, Michael, I will miss you a great deal on this commission, and my best to you and your lovely wife, Sandy. And I certainly hope we can get together or run into you somewhere around town over the course of time.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And with that, I will give you the last word.
Well, I don't know how much time do you have? As you all know, I like to speak and hear myself speak. So it is what it is. I was thinking today that I'm going to miss 100 meetings by 1 month. And it's a bit emotional for me for some reason to be leaving the city from this level. You don't realize when you take on this commitment, what it means. It is the most rewarding opportunity that people could have. And I didn't realize it until I made the decision I had to leave and decided it was time to let some fresh energy come to this commission. So that being said, I want to thank each one of you individually. You all bring something valuable to this process. And I'm going to enjoy watching this from afar and wish you all the best. But that, I'll sign off.
Well, it makes it tough for me to close this thing out now.
I promised I wouldn't break down, but you know what? I am who I am. And so I want you guys to enjoy it as much as I did.
Well, you're the best advertisement for somebody signing up for this in the future, I'll tell you. All right, unless there are any burning comments from any other commissioners or staff, anything for the good of the order? All right, hearing nothing. Mr. Matthews, have a great one. And with that, I adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
We adjourn the meeting at 8:01.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.